What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is finally time for week 22 Premier League predictions. We've had the FA Cup, and the previous game week was probably one of my most successful game weeks of all time. In fact, here are the winning accumulators we've had over on the Patreon since the last episode. We had just recently the above evens winners treble, Newcastle, Angola, and Nigeria, and I thought for just fun to see the odds of these teams all winning with such a handicap. I plugged in the numbers, and if you were to correctly predict all the handicaps for the correct results, you'd get odds of over 200 to 1. Obviously, we didn't do any handicaps. We just got a 10 to 1 treble. You can look through all of these: the League One double, the Scottish win to nil double, the both teams to score treble, looking good. We got a lot of doubles here: Serie A winners, AFCON winners, Portuguese away days, AFCON high odds, Asian Cup treble, the Premier League winners double, the Championship winners fourfold. We're loving the Championship, La Liga, the Serie A powerhouse double, and the Dutch goals double as well. Bear in mind, of course, those are the winners from just the last video. So if you want to get involved, you can join the link at the top, patreon.com/full90, or click the link in the description. You guys really enjoyed the old format in the last video, so I've also whacked out the green screen for this video today to kind of throw it back to the way I used to make the videos. So drop a like and leave your predictions down in the comments below, and why not subscribe whilst you are there. We've got 10 fixtures, and I'm super excited to get involved. So for the first fixture, we have Nottingham Forest up against Arsenal. Arsenal coming off of a massive win against Crystal Palace, 5-0. We did predict that Arsenal would win with over 2.5 goals against Crystal Palace. And then Nottingham Forest, we did predict Brentford to win and both teams to score. So Forest, they had their part to play in that game, but ultimately could not beat Brentford. I thought the way Tony scored his free kick was a little bit cheeky. I mean, you could argue it was kind of cheating, but it's one of those little cheating things that people don't really care about, which is a bit strange. Like, the keeper set up his wall based on where the free kick's being taken. Tony takes the foam, moves it a space to the right, essentially allowing him to get an angle that the keeper basically couldn't have prepared for, and just scoring into the bottom corner. So it's dubious, to say the least. But either way, we got a pretty good grasp on Forest against Arsenal. Forest typically do a little bit better at home, but I think Arsenal, they're going to get into a run of form now if they want to challenge for the league, which I don't think they will. I predicted at the start of the season they finished third. I'd probably stay the same there, to be honest. They are going to need to win this game. I'm going to go for Arsenal to win 3-1, and my tip is Arsenal to win and both teams to score at 3.2, because I think they should concede. They usually do. It's quite rare that it's plain sailing for Arsenal these days. After that, it's Fulham up against Everton. Everton facing a shock exit from the FA Cup against Luton, and Fulham, as we tipped in the above even winners treble you saw earlier, exiting to Newcastle. I think at home Fulham can get the better of Everton. Fulham play well at Craven Cottage. It's a good atmosphere. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Fulham, but my tip is both teams to score at 1.75. After this, Luton up against Brighton. Brighton battering Sheffield United in the FA Cup, and Luton, as I said, getting that surprise victory against Everton. We predicted Luton would draw 1-1 against Burnley in the previous week, and Brighton actually drawing with Wolves. That was a result I didn't see coming. I thought Brighton at home might be able to edge it. This is going to be a tough one, but I am going to go for a Brighton away win. I think they have the talent to deal with this Luton side, who aren't quite as stacked as Brighton. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win, even though they will be without Matoma. I think Brighton should be able to get the win. I'm going to go Brighton to win 2-1 with the tip Brighton to win at 1.65. But honestly, looking at it now, it might be a better shout to go both teams to score, maybe even both teams scoring over 2.5. I'm very tempted to change that. I just don't have the odds up here for that. So I think actually little immediate change, I would say maybe go for goals in this fixture, because I think Luton are well worth potentially getting a point out of this game, so I think there will be goals regardless. After that, a game where I don't think goals will be in high supply, it's Crystal Palace up against Sheffield United, and I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I thought about under 2.5 goals, but when you see Palace, they shipped 5 against Arsenal, they offered very little going forward, and Sheffield United clawing back a 2-2 draw against West Ham. That's 9 goals in their previous 2 games. It's difficult to back unders when they've just come off those fixtures, so I'm going to go for a low scoring game based on how I think these two teams will match up. Sheffield United might be able to offer something, but unlike when they played West Ham, this is away from home. It might be more difficult, and I think Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park tend to get the job done. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 win and just say Palace to win at 1.65 as the tip as well. I think they're capable of doing that. They should get the win. After this one, a very intriguing one. It's Aston Villa Up against Newcastle. Villa, a couple of fixtures now without scoring a goal, against Chelsea in the Cup and against Everton in the league. We did predict a draw against Everton, so there was that. I think this is going to be a draw as well. I think Aston Villa are finally going to find the back of the net. Newcastle need a point. They need something. They're not looking too great. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. And my tip is both teams to score over 2.5 goals at 1.8. I think that's likely because either one of these teams could win this one about 5-1. Genuinely, I think it'd be more surprising if Newcastle turned over Aston Villa at Villa Park, but I could see both of those happening, so I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. After this, it's Manchester City up against Burnley. How many do you want? I would say roll a dice from 1 to 6 and pick the number that you get. It could be that. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Manchester City. My tip is City win -2 handicap, 1.83, so at least 3 goals, but City and Burnley, you remember they had that run of a few years before Burnley got relegated to the Championship where City would always beat them 5-0. And I don't know if Burnley are that much better, if at all better, to be honest, than they were back then. And I think City are equally as good, if not better. So I'm going to go for 3-0 because it doesn't need to be 5 or 6-0, but it could be. -2 handicap there. After that, it's a London derby between Tottenham and Brentford. Tottenham, I think they're going to win. Brentford, they've got Tony back. The passion is there. The energy is there. The excitement is there. But Tottenham at their home ground, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think they should be able to get the win. I think they'll concede though, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Spurs. And my tip is Tottenham to win and both teams to score at 2.87. I could see that happening. After this, Anfield, Liverpool up against Chelsea. First game at Anfield in the league since Klopp's announced his end of season retirement plan. And then when we had the first game at Anfield since then in the Cup, Liverpool put 5 past a pretty woeful Norwich. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Liverpool, even though they'll be without Mo Salah. I do think, at the very least in terms of form, I just think the sum of Liverpool's parts are greater than Chelsea. Chelsea, it's just not gelling. I think they've got the players to deal with a team like Liverpool and a team like anyone, to be honest, but it's just not working. They're not quite as coherent as Liverpool when it comes to stringing plays together. They give away the ball a lot. If you've watched Chelsea, as much as I have, for example, my dad's a Chelsea fan, we end up watching their games a lot. They just give away the ball so much. It's funny, we look at those things with Chelsea and Arsenal as that's who we watch the most. Chelsea give the ball away a lot and Arsenal just can't finish. They just can't. They fiddle around with it too much. Liverpool don't do that. They don't give away the ball as cheaply and they're a lot more clinical. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I'm going to say Liverpool and both teams to score at 2.87 as well. I think they'll get the job done. I think Chelsea, it could be 1-1. This is a very 1-1, 0-0 even fixture, but I think an early goal for Liverpool will see Liverpool with a good chance of winning because they also score late very often. So you could also look at the late goal market. It's always priced at 1.83 and the minute varies. So it'll be around 83, 84 minutes, maybe less than that. 1.83. I could see a late goal in this game for either team. I think a penalty in the match, that looks good, probably at 3-1. Honestly, I could even see a red card. I just think something's going to happen in this game, something spicy. But I'm going to go for 3 points to Liverpool at the top of the Premier League. West Ham against Bournemouth next. I'm going to go for a high-scoring draw. I think West Ham are missing a few players, whether that's due to injury, AFCON. They're just missing something, and I think Bournemouth can scrape something. West Ham should win this game, right? You look at this fixture, West Ham absolutely should win. My tip is not going to be in the result market at all. My tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.57. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I think West Ham should win, but similarly, I said to my friend Steve, who supports Bournemouth and was actually at the Bournemouth-Swansea game, I said that I could see them drawing against Sheffield United in a 2-2 because they were missing a few players. I wasn't confident, and they did, albeit a late equaliser. I could see West Ham doing the same thing here against Bournemouth. I'm going to say both teams to score 1.57. That's where I'm going. And after this, Wolves versus Manchester United, the game of the week that people always look forward to with these videos because it involves Man United. People are always intrigued to see what I've got to say. Wolves are a really decent team, winning 2-0 against West Brom in that derby. I think Man United are just going to win. They had a bit of a scare against Newport County, conceding 2 goals to make it 2-2 after being 2-0 up, but they won 4-2. Obviously, that was going to happen, but I think Man United are going to win. And I don't know what logic this is based on. I could see every single result here. I could see Wolves winning this. I think it'll be either a 1-0 Man United win or a 2-1 Wolves win. I think Man United will score 1 goal. That's the way I see it. So if you want to place a specific bet of Man United to score exactly 1 goal, I think the odds of that are probably like 3 or 4 to 1. Have at it, honestly. I think if they win, it'll be a 1-0 goal in the second half between 60 and 70, maybe 70 and 80 minutes, probably by Bruno Fernandes. That's the way I see it going. Or it will just be a 2-1 win to Wolves. I can see it now. Much like when Wolves played Spurs I put this on a very similar level. My tip is Man United to win at 2.4. That's just a bit of a gut feeling, but logically, I think it's going to be very difficult for Manchester United to win this game, so I guess we'll see. But that is going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy it and you like the old style format, then make sure you drop a like, leave your predictions in the comments below, check out the Patreon as well for exclusive tips on all kinds of leagues, and I will see you in the next video very soon.